Here today I'll show you how ignition system works. So this is the vehicle ignition system. So it have many components. First one is battery. Battery is first component have two terminals, negative and positive terminal. Negative terminal is directly connected to the body of the car, and the positive terminal is connected to the ignition key. In some cases there is a fuse between ignition key and positive battery terminal. So after that, it passes through the ignition switch or ignition key and pass through ballast resistor. So this symbol of resistance, as you can see here, there is a symbol of resistor. That resistor is called ballast resistor, and is responsible to protect the ignition coil uh, from damaging by heat, because when the ignition uh, coil is worked many times or for a long time, it becomes hot, and to manage that thing, the ballast resistor is found between ignition key and the ignition coil. So the third component is ignition coil. As you can see, it has a three terminal. First one is this one, it's called positive terminal, and this one is called negative terminal. And here you go, central part, high tension terminal. So when it comes to the internal parts of ignition coil, the ignition coil have two windings. As you can see, the black thick wire is called primary winding, and the inner parts, you can see here, there is a small winding. That winding is called secondary winding, and this thin wire is the second one. The thin wire is responsible to multiply the amount of voltage is coming from battery up to, it depends on the ignition coil, but it's up to 22,000 up to 30,000 of volt, and that volt goes through this high tension cable. This one is high tension cable and goes to the distributor. Is the red component what you have seen. This one, the red component, is called rotor, and there is a shaft between the rotor and the tip of this distributor. So this distributor shaft, which is called the distributor shaft, and the distributor shaft is connected to the camshaft, and the camshaft rotates this distributor shaft. Okay, and this distributor shaft is connected to the rotor, and the rotor is responsible to rotate and distribute the high tension voltages coming from this high tension terminal, and distribute for each spark plug as needed. So this is the way of the ignition system works. So there are different parts or different components which found on the distributor, which is used to manage the timing of ignition for each cylinder. So to do that, there is a component which is called, here you go, this part is called contact breaker point, and this contact breaker point is responsible to open and close by the cam which is found on the distributor, and when it opens there is a spark which is created on on the spark plug. So as you can see here, spark is created, but when the contact breakers, you can see here, is closed, that means this one is a second condition. So when the spark plug is closed, that means the passage from, or the voltage which is coming from the negative terminal passes through this one, contact breaker and goes to what? Goes to ground, and there is no spark plug created in this case. But when the spark plug, when the contact breaker is open, that is second case. As you can see in our case, spark plug is the contact breaker is open, so that the spark break since the contact breaker point is open, there is no passage of current to pass through and have a ground. So in this case, the current which is coming from this negative terminal goes to what? Goes to this capacitor. So when the capacitor is full, the current goes to what? Backward. So this is called backward flow of current. And since there is no passage or there is no way to have a ground here on the distributor, the current passes through this primary winding, passing through this secondary winding, and goes to the distributor rotor, and the rotor rotates and passes to each individual spark plug, and it comes like this, and when the spark plug is, as you know, spark plug is like this, a positive terminal which is coming from the high tension cable, this pass, and this one is the negative terminal which is connected to the body of the ground. Since there is a gap between this positive terminal and this positive terminal and the outer electrode, the current jumps from positive terminal to negative terminal on a spark plug. This jumping of electron from positive terminal to negative terminal makes to form a spark. So this is a way of making spark on a spark plug. So there is a way of ignition system works on the vehicle. And thank you for watching for today. Bye bye.